It was that perfect summer, the kind that later feels like a scene from an old, heartwarming movie. The sun was warm but gentle, the sea tender and clear, and the air smelled of salty freshness and jasmine. For Alina and Maxim, this trip to the seaside was meant to be their second wedding anniversary, an attempt to breathe new life into a relationship that, over the past year, had turned more into comfortable coexistence. They rented a cozy apartment overlooking the promenade. It seemed as if the universe itself favored them. They had breakfast on the balcony, laughing at failed selfies, spent whole days lying on the beach, and in the evenings, they walked hand in hand, just like at the very beginning. Alina noticed admiring glances cast her way. Her light dresses, tan, and glowing eyes made her irresistible. Maxim, usually buried in work, seemed finally relaxed. It was during one of those evening walks that they met him. Dennis was an old university friend of Maxim's, whom they hadn't seen in about 5 years. A chance encounter in a seaside bar turned into a lively night of reminiscing. Dennis was everything Alina hadn't seen in her husband for a long time. Carefree, witty, full of energy. He was traveling alone, taking a break from everything, as he said with a smile. The next few days they spent together, the three of them. They went snorkeling in hidden coves Dennis knew, had lunch in small taverns, serving the freshest fish, and laughed until they cried. Alina caught herself looking for Dennis's gaze, feeling a strange thrill at his fleeting, almost accidental touch on her hand. She noticed the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching, a long, appraising look that carried something more than friendly warmth. One day, Maxim got a work call, some urgent matter that required a couple of hours at the computer. "Go without me, have fun," he waved them off. Alina and Dennis went to the beach after dark. The sea was black and bottomless, sprinkled with reflections of the stars. They sat on the warm sand, talking easily, about unfulfilled dreams, about fears, about things she hadn't spoken of with Maxim in a long time. And then it happened. His hand touched her cheek. He turned her face toward him and kissed her. And she kissed him back. It was sudden, passionate, and so wrong that it took her breath away. "Tomorrow, at 4, on the old pier," he whispered before they parted. The affair lasted only 3 days. 3 secret meetings, stolen from the vacation, from her husband, from her conscience. She was intoxicated by the danger, by the novelty, by the way Dennis made her feel as if she wasn't someone's wife, but the only woman in the world. She silenced her reason with the thought that it was just a fleeting summer romance, that it would end with the holiday, and no one would ever know. Their departure was set for the morning. That evening, the three of them had a farewell dinner. Alina sat on edge, catching Dennis's gaze and immediately looking away, tasting salt and lies on her lips. Maxim was unusually tender, holding her hand and telling her how wonderful these 2 weeks had been. "Let's take a picture to remember this," Maxim said, as they were leaving the restaurant. He handed his phone to Dennis. Dennis stepped back to frame the shot. Alina and Maxim hugged and smiled at the camera. At that exact moment, a message notification popped up on Maxim's screen. A short preview. The sender's name, Dennis, and a few words that Alina managed to read in that split second before Dennis hastily pressed the lock button. "Today was incredible. I'll miss your kisses." The air froze. Alina's smile vanished. Dennis turned pale. Only Maxim, noticing nothing, cheerfully asked, "So, did it come out well?" The silence was deafening. It lasted only a few seconds, but in it, a whole life passed. Maxim looked at his wife's frozen face, then at his confused friend. His smile slowly faded. "What happened?" he asked quietly. Dennis silently handed him the phone. Maxime took it. His eyes flicked to the screen, but the notification was gone. Yet their faces said everything. The air was thick with a heavy, ugly truth. They didn't speak on the way back to the apartment. Alina stared out the window at the receding lights of the promenade, at the sea, the witness to her happiness and her fall. She felt something fragile and precious collapsing inside her, something that could never be repaired. In the apartment, Maxime closed the door, and without turning to her, asked just one word. Why? She had no answer. No excuses. Only silence, filled with the echo of the waves and the sound of that fatal notification that had changed their lives forever. The perfect summer was over. It shattered against the cruel simplicity of a message accidentally seen,